Who made the best Batman? A. Christian Bale, B. Adam West, C. Val Kilmer, D. Kevin Conroy, E. Frank Miller, or F. Michael Keaton? I hope no one is disappointed that I left George Clooney off this list. Perhaps D&E confuse you, but the Batman a lot of people know today was not the character of history. He's had a long career as a detective and role model that culminated in a television show, a critically acclaimed animated series, 6 live-action feature films, toys, video games, and over 60 years of comic books. Last year, Bruce Wayne was murdered by one of the mightiest characters in the DC Universal cast during one of the most epic events in all of comic book history. Readers were shocked to see Dick Grayson, the former Boy Wonder, Robin turned Nightwing, take up the Batman's mantle. DC recently broke the news to concerned fans that Bruce Wayne lives and will return to fight another day, proving once again that this timeless world will never disappoint an audience who still believes in the impossible. Maybe you're confused. I'll back up a bit. In May of 1939, Detective Comics hit the newsstands. Bob Kane premiered his dark response to the success of the Superman comic with his Batman. Kane said his influences for the character included actor Douglas Fairbanks' movie portrayal of the swashbuckler Zorro, Leonardo da Vinci's diagram of the Omnithopter, a flying machine with huge bat-like wings, and the 1930 film The Bat Whispers, based on Mary Reinhardt's mystery novel The Circular Staircase. Robin appeared in Detective Comics number 38 in April of 1940 as a way to get young children to identify with a real-life vigilante. From his inception until the Adam West, Burt Ward campy sitcom of the 1960s, Robin was one part of a pretty lame pair. Batman wasn't the dark and brooding shadow in the night. In fact, when 1950s censorship reigned supreme, Dr. Frederick Wertham and other Comic Code Authority supporters called Batman and Robin everything but a husband and wife to get writers to change their storylines. Afraid of the alternative, Batman and Robin were given stricter roles. Batwoman was added to the mix, and the young kids that imagined themselves as the eager sidekick stopped buying. In the 1980s, a new and popular writer named Frank Miller picked up a pen and pencil and created a rift in the history of the Batman. In The Dark Knight Returns, Miller brings us forward in time to a retired, inebriated Bruce and a world of regret. He's older, but his resolve to defend the city from the growing and untamable underworld of crime is strong. He's broken, but his will is ironclad, and we are reminded of why this common rich boy is a superhero. The Dark Knight marked the first major foray into Batman's shadowy mind, and readers loved every minute of it. In 1989, Bob Kane won bragging rights when Tim Burton's fantastical vision won the hearts and minds of adults and children alike. Bruce Wayne once again entered the homes of millions of Americans, but this time he did it with style. The 1990s were a strong decade for the Caped Crusader. Batman the Animated Series was grabbing the attention of millions of children. Each day at 3 o'clock, the Emmy Award-winning cartoon kept kids glued in their seats to find out what their favorite characters would do next. While cartoon Bruce faced off against Two-Face and Poison Ivy, his comic book version didn't fare as well. Batgirl, one of his original disciples, fell victim to the Joker's madness and lost the use of her legs. Joker also viciously murdered Jason Todd, the second Robin, while the duo were on a mission in the Middle East. To make matters worse, a supervillain named Bane snaps bats over his knee, showing the world that the Batman is breakable. Finally, Bruce reveals himself and his true feelings to Catwoman, only to lose her in the end. In 2005, Batman got another facelift when Christopher Nolan debuted his feature film Batman Begins. Loosely based around Frank Miller's story Year One, the film made millions at the box office and revitalized the character for the new generation. I don't need to tell anyone that The Dark Knight Returns broke records. Heath Ledger's Joker gained accolades and a posthumous Oscar, and Christian Bale's antics kept the gossip columns busy for months after the premiere. Last year, during DC's Final Crisis series, Bruce Wayne was killed while saving the universe from a god named Darkseid. For months after, Batman's crew battled over the cowl until Dick Grayson took up the mantle of the infamous Bat. What? Lost again? Well, 60 years of history will do that to you. Here's the truth. Comic books before the 80s were, well, pretty bad. Publishers seemingly were still in transition. Selling them at newsstands meant that children had easy access. Once they moved into specialized comic book stores and raised the prices and art quality, adults created a market no one ever thought to sell to. Who says you have to be a kid to get pictures in your books? More than 40% of adults are visual learners after all. If you think you like who the Batman is, some great books to get you in the loop are Frank Miller's Year One and The Dark Knight Returns, The Killing Joke by Alan Moore, Hush by Jeff Loeb with amazing art by Jim Lee is one of my personal favorites. And Grant Morrison's Batman and Robin is also fantastic. Batman's cast of characters is vast, so please consult the DC Encyclopedia for background information. The Comic Book Resources website has tons of info, and if you ever feel lost, feel free to send me an email. Not only has the Batman won commercial success throughout the world, but the title remains one of the most widely read comic books in history. In February of 2010, Detective Comics made history when it outsold the first appearance of Superman by $75,000, making the total cost for this treasure well over $1 million. Start reading. You never know what the knowledge will be worth someday.